What's up, everybody? It's 2022, so happy New Year's, new year, new you, new hobby goals, ideas, and resolutions. I kind of want to summarize how hobbying has been for me in 2021 and go over some resolutions and goals in 2022. And I'm going to talk about it all, not just 40K things, because we have multiple hobbies, as you probably do. Nerd hobbies and non-nerd hobbies, right? Right? So, in that regard, your miniature wargaming stuff is a facet of your hobbydom, and it's important to consider all facets. So, with that said, I'll just be focusing on the nerd stuff and talk a little bit about that. So, 2021 has been a year, right? We have seen variants pop up and everything else, and we see progress, and we see backpedaling and progress and whatever else. So hopefully, it's been all right to you. Now, in terms of hobbying, what suffered the most for me in 2021, outside of playing, because I haven't played in a while, I just, between all the COVID stuff happening, that continues to happen, and regulations that way, and work, and real life, and distance and time and everything else, it hasn't been on the cards. Which is not horrible, but it definitely doesn't help for a drive to do like painting and whatnot. But outside of that, the thing that took a hit for me was painting. I was fixated in 2021 on finding the color scheme for my homebrew Primaris Force. And I was fixated on orange because it's my favorite color. And it still is my favorite color. And it would be awesome if I figured out how to do orange in a way that satisfied me. But I haven't. So I was fixated on just doing tests for that, which meant doing something like Sekhmet or Custodes or Dark Angels just wasn't happening, or Mephiret Dynasty or whatever else. And in that regard, painting suffered because I just wasn't painting unless I was trying to do a test, and I was trying to figure out the test, and I was trying to figure out the way to do it. So it was a lot of hemming and hawing and researching and failure, which happens when you're trying to do schemes. But the latest one I tried, which also wasn't cutting the mustard, made me kind of realize that I think it's okay to move past the orange idea, because it felt like I was looking at a fire dragon just on a wrong model. You know what I mean? In terms of color palette, minus the yellow helmet, because I wouldn't be doing that. But in any case, it felt like a fire dragon. And for me, that was kind of a quasi-realization that, you know what, I think it'll be okay to go beyond the orange and do something else. And I have some ideas, and I have some Archive X paints that I wanted specifically to try out anyway, and I have them, so I'll be trying that out, and that should be pretty cool. In any case, the point of that whole tangent was painting took the biggest hit in 2021 for me. But hobby-wise, it wasn't all quiet on the Western Front. I was able to do some organization and some decluttering, both on 40K side of things and Magic the Gathering. So Magic the Gathering I've done for much longer than 40K, and I dove into it. I had to force myself to stop Magic the Gathering. That's how much I was into it, how much I was doing it. I came to the realization one day that I just need to stop. And it's not going to be good if I don't stop. So I did. But I still have all my stuff. And outside of, if you play Magic, you know that typically what is organized for sure are rares. And so I have a rare binder or whatever else. And I have that. I don't have anything super expensive, so I don't have to worry about it storing it extra safely. But I have all my rare binder stuff. But I recently taken it upon myself to decide to add to the insanity by going ahead and organizing my Magic the Gathering cards by color, not a big deal, but then breaking that down by rarity, which the rares are taken care of, so it means common and uncommon, alphabetically. Really not smart. I've only started with red. I haven't even finished the commons of red yet, and I've organized like 1,500 cards, and I still have plenty to go. So that takes time, and I took a break from doing that a bit after 1,500 cards of commons, but I did make some progress there in getting some declutter done that way, and organizing them and storing them better, which is great. And on the 40K side of things, I have decluttered some sprues, and I will continue to do so by partially building things like torsos and whatnot and storing them as bits, not touching fresh sprues because there's no reason to touch a fresh sprue. In any case, so that has been some progress in 2021. But as you can imagine, you get a little burnt on doing that, so you take breaks and jump back and forth and whatever else. And the biggest thorn in my side for the hobby has been video gaming. Now, I love video gaming. I've been doing it since a kid, right? But when it comes to trying to make progress to declutter your life in terms of hobby stuff and take your real estate back, gaming is the enemy. Because if I'm doing a movie watch, I could do that while clipping sprue and organizing cards. I've done that. No problem. But if I'm gaming, I'm focused on the game. Now, I love playing games. Diablo 2 Resurrected, fantastic. Love grinding that. I do Destiny 2. I do some other stuff. But it takes time. It eats up time. And I need to curb that. It's like empty calories. It's a time waster. And that's fine. It's fun. I'm not saying it as a bad thing. That's the whole point about hobby, right? Time waster. Any hobby, when you think about it. But I really need to curb myself, I think, to A, be able to do all these hobby goals for and organize and declutter, which is a much needed thing to do, and B, for other things in life and other hobbies. So it's it can be a struggle at times to try and organize that balance amongst real life, adulting, etc., and all your hobbies. Especially because I did tackle something recently, or started to tackle something recently late in 2021. Costuming, particularly Star Wars costuming. Been a fan of Star Wars forever, and been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and I finally decided just to do it. So that costuming project, because I'm relatively new to costuming, is going to take time, and of course doing that is a lot of work, but it's fun thus far. And the goal of it is to get approval with a costuming club, but I'm not going to just ramble on about that here. And I'm not saying this to pimp out the channel, but I did make a informational resource and documentation channel for me as a way to keep myself inspired and also to share my progress and thoughts and what I've learned, because I wanted to pay it forward. There's loads of great resources out there. It's not a how-to or anything. I'll leave a link in the video description of this, but it's got hardly any videos up. It's not that type of channel. It's not a how-to. It's not going to get inundated with videos. It's just going to document and be an informational resource. So check it out or not, no big deal. I'm just letting you know and showing you where a lot of my time is going to be wasted as well from this, away from this hobby, because it's going to happen. But in any case, all that's to say that part of my 2022 resolution for hobbydom and nerddom is to achieve a better balance between it all. Video gaming really dominated the landscape last year, and the year before that. And that, as fun as it is, it needs a better balance. And when it comes to nerddom hobbies outside of video gaming, Magic the Gathering isn't something I'm trying to get back into. I've had the same decks built that I've had since I stopped playing, so I have them to play. I know how to play. It's not a big deal. But I want to get everything organized and broken down and easier to look at and manage. And if I were to try and get rid of some, it would make it easier on that regard. But, whatever. And on the 40K side of things, decluttering to get literal real estate back from boxes and whatnot is also important. So that all is an important thing. And on top of a work-life balance and hobby balance and everything else. But for that, on 2022, outside of achieving a better balance, it's also going to be to make progress in 40K hobbying and all that jazz, to do that decluttering, to do that organization, to paint up a little bit more, because painting also leads to decluttering, because sprue exists because you haven't built them yet. And whatever's left can then be decluttered afterwards. So I would love to paint more segment terminators, finally paint some custodes, which I love, dark angels, my test scheme, and all that jazz. While of course balance it out with doing the costuming stuff. So there's a lot of juggling going on, and I'm not a juggler, so we'll see how that goes. But that's my thoughts for 2022. The channel is part of my hobbying. I do this channel not because I think I have great resources to provide people, but because it's part of my hobbying. It's fun to put information out there and have my 2 cents out there that might be a bit of a different viewpoint and read the comments. And I just do it for fun. and it's part of the hobby, and I will continue to do that. So what helps with the channel is doing the hobby side of things, so it gets you inspired to talk about stuff. So it all kind of is symbiotic in a way. In any case, that is my thoughts and goals for 2022, my thoughts on 2021. Should be a fun year. It's going to be very hectic. Life often is. But I'm looking forward to it. So in that regard, I'll try, and outside of doing stuff like at a glances and color schemes, I'll try and do hobby progress updates in terms of storage and whatnot, and just to showcase it, because if I start doing some of that amongst the other stuff that I do, it could be helpful for anybody in a similar slump or in a similar situation, or just looking for a different viewpoint of things. And B, it could also help me in being more active in trying to do that, because hey, I gotta make progress to talk about. So we'll see. In any case, cool stuff coming down the pipeline for 40K and everything else. I look forward to seeing, the old times of Warhammer, to see if we're gonna get some Tomb Kings models back, because I love that aesthetic. And yeah, just all in all, looks pretty cool. Battletech's got some cool things going on, and I'm sure Warhammer Horde is doing fine or whatever for people. So as we progress forward in time, technology and capability really starts disseminating amongst more companies, and it should be an interesting thing to see go down. And Space Marine 2, right? That looked really cool. So lots of cool stuff to follow, keep in mind, and ramble on. Anyways, thanks so much for taking the time in 2022 to listen to me rambling. Share your thoughts on how your 2021 went, what you are happy about, what you want to improve upon, and what are your goals for 2022, right? In terms of the hobby. So with all that said, Happy New Year's. Hopefully it's been a good one. And until next time, take it easy.